What it do, YouTube man? It's your boy Bad Habits here, and I'm back with another story time for y'all. And today, I have a bit of a creepy story time for y'all. And this one takes place back when I was about like 9, maybe 11, around that time. And this happened back when I was in Tallahassee. So, if there's any more things I have to talk about than that, then let's get on to this freaking story. Now, we moved to Tallahassee right around like 2009. So, I'm 19, so I was around 9, yeah, 9, 10, maybe 11. So we moved back around. We moved to Tallahassee, and my mom's friend basically left us for nothing after she moved back to our hometown. And when she left, we had nothing, so we had to stay in a homeless shelter. Now this homeless shelter was nice people, but there was something off about three specific people, and these people were young as crap. They weren't supposed to be there, and all this other stuff. And the dudes were talking about them because the dudes slept outside, the women stayed inside, right? So the dudes talked about how these women would literally sit there and freaking, these not women, but these people, because it was a woman with them, but these people would do weird stuff in the garage, all that other stuff. But my mom knew it was some BS, so she said, "Don't go near it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Right? Fast forward a few months later, we move out of that shelter and we move into our first apartment. Apartment sucked. Then we moved out of that apartment into the apartment that's in question. Now, this apartment stayed in the far backside of freaking Sunshine Apartments. Sunrise Apartments. If y'all know what Sunrise Apartments is, if you're from Tallahassee, then you know Texas 2525 Texas Street, Sunshine Apartments. You know that place. You know what I mean? So we moved there. We in the far back, K238. I think that's what the name was. K238. I think that's what the apartment number was. And that was our apartment. That's where we stayed at. That was the first place where I learned that you can be broke and get everything you wanted out of it. Because we went from having nothing to having an Xbox 360. Then the next time having a TV. And after that having an Xbox. And after that went from that to having multiple TVs, multiple bedrooms, multiple beds. Then went from that to having cable, internet. It was it was great. It was so great. It was so great until it was so great because that last apartment that we stayed in before that didn't even allow us to freaking watch TV or sit there and have internet. It was so freaking stupid, right? But before that, but back to what we were talking about, it was so great staying there because you had the freedom to do exactly what you wanted to do, right? Then came these situations at hand. Now, I love the supernatural. I love the supernatural. I love everything science based. Supernatural is unexplained, but I love the mystery behind it, just like how I love the mystery of space and how we got here. You know what I mean? So when this happened, con- I was completely scared and also confused, right? So this first incident happened around summertime. I'm up late playing Madden while my brother's asleep, and this is around the time I started watching a show called Ghost Adventures. If you don't know what Ghost Adventures is, you need to sit there and get off your freaking butt and look up freaking Travel Channel Ghost Adventures and watch that show. Even though it's cheesy, it's freaking good. But that night, I was sitting there playing Madden '06. I was in the Pro Bowl. I remember this specifically because I remember the freaking helmet that my team had because it was all colored and we didn't have a color in the freaking TV yet. So we're chilling and all the other stuff, and I hear footsteps, pat, 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 down the hallway. And I didn't think nothing of it because I thought it was just my mom getting up to go use the bathroom. But turns out it wasn't my mom because she's still in the room asleep. So I stared into that hallway. Now the hallway is dark as crap, and my TV was the only thing illuminating it. And my mom's room is on the left, where our room's on the right. Right? So I'm staring into the hallway. I can see the corner of my mom's door frame. I'm just staring into the hallway intensely. And I'm sitting there just waiting and waiting and waiting until, to my horror, I see a dark figure literally run, not run, but speed past my goddamn freaking mom, past my door into my mom's freaking room. And that scared the mess out of me because of the fact that my mom was single. This is after my mom left my stepdad. So my mom was single, so there was no dude in the house at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? So we chilling and stuff right there, and I'm like, bro, what the freak was that? In my mind, I was like, what the freak was that? And I just went back to playing the game, and then I turned the game off and to sleep. And now we're in the dark. I'm in the dark completely. I'm staring up at the ceiling, and all I can feel is like someone's staring at me from my mom's room, and it's the scariest thing of all because, like, I saw the dark figure go there, so that means it's in there, so I can feel it staring at me from in there, and it was the creepiest thing ever. And then after that I went to sleep. Fast forward a few weeks later, right? It's the beginning of school year. I'm supposed to be asleep, but it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I didn't want to go to sleep, right? So I'm laying down watching cartoons while my brother's in there watching their cartoons. While my mom's asleep, and my brother's in their sleep because they left the TV on. So I thought they was up, but they weren't. Okay. Hit the same thing, pat, 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 but in the opposite direction. Well, in the same direction of my room, right? So I hear pat, 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 and nothing. So I know it's probably my mom. I didn't hear I didn't hear the light come on. I was like, crap, not this again. And then I see fingers appear right from the right side of the door. And from that side of the door, I can see fingers elongating to a hand, and then it just hooked around the door, the door wall, the right side of the door, the door's wall, right? And it just and it frantically like runs its hand up and down the wall trying to find the light switch. Lucky enough, the light switch was a little bit further out of the hand's reach. You know what I mean? But you can see the hand finicking up the thing. And what made it worse was like it had detail. So I saw this is what I saw. A white woman's hand with gashes, cuts, and bruises all over its hand. Right? And I could just see it just going up and down, trying to find the freaking flashlight. And when it didn't, it just sat there and just as quick as it came, as quick as it left. It went just screw it, pulled his hand back and disappeared into the darkness. And I swear to God, I screamed so loud, my mom's woke up and almost beat my ass for it because I woke her up. I was freaked out. I didn't want to tell my mom about it. I told my mom that I was watching a scary movie and it scared me and I'm sorry. And she told me to go to sleep. And that's exactly what I did. Fast forward to that morning. We getting up to go to school. I'm in the living room watching, Jungle Gym, not Jungle Gym, but Jungle City, Jungle Cars, Jungle whatever the frick it was. Well, it was a Disney show where the animals were freaking, cars in the jungle, stuff like that, right? In the Disney Junior, right? So I'm watching that. My brothers, then they get ready and they come to the living room with my mom. My mom says, "Are you ready to go?" As I turn around, everything goes into slow motion. Everything goes into slow motion, and I'm just looking at my mom, and I see this dark figure just fade into existence. And I am freaking out because like now it's just close to my mom, so I don't know what's going to happen, right? So it gets close to my mom, and my mom doesn't say anything and doesn't do anything because she doesn't notice it. But that figure, the moment I saw that figure, and the figure noticed that I was looking at it, it went from a dark face to a woman's face. It faded in a woman's face, and with that woman's face, she had the expression of scared, and it went from scared to immediately frown, darkened eyes, mouth elongated, and looked like she had sharp teeth, like she was gonna bite my mom, right? And then out of nowhere, it sort of like reaches out and then disappears. And I swear to God, that scared the mess out of me because it was so close to my mom. Now, I was thinking as a child, it was after my mom, because my mom was a Christian and I didn't know what she was into, right? So I thought it was my mom. And then out of nowhere, I had this random thought that came to mind because the face looks so familiar, right? So I had this random thought: was it after my mom or was it after me? Because that night, when I said we was in the shelter, that woman didn't know that I was watching her, and I couldn't read, and I didn't understand Latin, so I didn't know what she said, right? So I sat there and thought, like, what if this woman was trying to scare me, right? Which wouldn't make sense, because why would you want to scare a freaking 9, 10, 11-year-old for some reason, right? So, comes to find out, that woman and the two dudes were found dead in underneath a bridge in Tallahassee, where they had a satanic ritual that happened with one of the homeless people there. Turns out the homeless dude fought back, killed all 3 of them, and died of blood loss. You know what I mean? And that woman basically And then I looked up what she said in Latin, and it basically was, you know, you basically what she said was, and I quote, "You will not escape. You will not escape my sight. You'll be forever watched." Which didn't really work because the moment she said and thought I was never going to be watched, my mom immediately got us cleansed, and that's what happened. She was gone for the rest of the time. We moved out of that freaking apartment. We moved to a new house, and I swear to you, I never felt so free in my life. Like, you don't understand how scared I was to even look down the hallway where my room was. Now, I can understand this joke, but we had stairs, and it freaked me out to know that when I looked down the hallway to look towards the stairs, I wouldn't see no dark figure just peeking his head out from the stairwell, or some dark figure in the top points of the corners of the stairwell and stuff like that. That's how I felt. And the feeling of freedom that I had after that was so good because now I stayed up to like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe freaking 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning with no repercussions at all. And I felt good. You know what I mean? I felt good. Then came this thing that my mom talked about. She had my uncle's ashes, and he would be watching over us and say, "Yeah, I would sit there and say that, but I never told her this, but that thing that I saw at that old apartment was not my uncle. I know that for a fact. That wasn't my uncle. So after I learned that my freaking uncle's ashes were with us and all that other stuff, I didn't think that anything would ever do anything because my uncle was protecting us, right? So I didn't think nothing of it, and that's been what it was since then. No spirits, no dark figures, no nothing. And what makes it worse was I used to walk back to that apartment. We used to stay back in that after we left that house, moved to a new house, and came back to that apartment complex. I used to walk back to that house, and you want to know what I saw? I saw that same figure pacing in front of that room window where I used to sleep at, where me and my brother used to sleep at. It would pace that room window, and I could see it pacing back and forth. I don't know if it's still there now because a few more other people used to stay there. But before, when there was no one there, no one moved there after we left, it was pacing back and forth. And like I'm outside, and it's quiet. It's like maybe 10 something. Everybody's probably still asleep, and I can hear the footsteps through the window. They were loud. Like I can hear the footsteps through the window, and it was so scary to me because like we just escaped this thing, and it's still there. And come to think about it, I don't know what has happened, but that apartment complex has changed. So I don't know if someone moved in, cleansed the place, and moved out or anything. But that place was freaky, bro. It was the scariest thing that I admit that was the scariest thing that I've ever been a part of. Besides almost losing my life in a car crash. That story will be coming up probably next time. But besides that, if there's anything to take from this, don't mess with the supernatural. It's nothing to play with. I don't care what you think, how you feel, what religion you think you're gonna be protected by. It don't matter. Supernatural is something that you should not play with. So if there's anything to take from that, don't mess with supernatural. And basically, that's all I got for this story time. If you want to hear another one, leave a like, comment, maybe freaking subscribe if you want to. Besides that, I'm out. Peace.